All right, guys, looks like we are live. All right, all right, all right. Welcome again to the WMMA Scene Report with your host, Chuck Stevenson. Trying something a little different this weekend. We'll see if how it works out. So, going to be going over a bunch of stuff this week. We'll dive right in with this past weekend's fight results. So, Bellator 210. 125, Christina Williams defeated Bruna Ellen by unanimous decision at Bellator. I already says Bellator 210. Jackson's Fight Series. Callie Robbins defeated Celine Haga by split decision at 115 pounds. LFA 55, 135. Sarah Alpar defeated Jocelyn Edwards by split decision. And at 125, Haley Cowan defeated Jessica Sotak by head kick KO in the second round. Okay, guys, before I move on, if you haven't seen that knockout yet, you've got to go see it. It was freaking amazing. It's on social media. It's on YouTube. Guys, you got to go see this knockout. It was badass. I mean, she went out stiff. Nasty KO. Beautiful. Moving on. Tough 28 finale. Leah Letson defeated Julija Stolyarenko by split decision at featherweight. Of course, Antonina Shevchenko defeated Jeon Kim by unanimous decision in flyweight. And then another fight at featherweight. Macy Shason defeated Pani Kienzad by rear naked choke submission. She became the winner of Tough 28 heavy hitters. Got to, the whole 6-figure contract, whatever. So, congratulations to Macy Shason on winning that show. Moving on. Okay, we're going to go down through the whole list of Deep Jewels 22. Deep Jewels had their year-end event. It's pretty, they had what is it, 8 fights, so. Starting off at starting off at 53.5 kilograms. That's like 107. I don't know why they had to catch weight there. But Sami Nakai defeated Jet Izumi by unanimous decision. At 105 pounds, Nanika Kawamura defeated Tomomi Sauda by unanimous decision. At 115, Sayuri Yamaguchi defeated Yuko Kiryu by unanimous decision. At 125, Yukari Nabe defeated Ibu Takamori, again by unanimous decision. At 115 pounds, Tanya Hoffman versus Mika Nagano ended in a majority draw. Satomi Takano defeated Yuko Saito by UD at 105 pounds. At 145 pounds, Reina, a.k.a. King Reina, Miura, defeated Judith Ruiz by unanimous decision. And then they had their Atomweight Championship bout. Tomo Maesawa defeated Mina Kurobi by, you guessed it, unanimous decision. Tomo Maesawa is now the new Deep Jewels Atomweight champ. Kurobi was the champ for little while there. I think she defended it once or a couple times. She won it by beating, I believe, Naho Sugiyama a year or so, a little over a year. Well, it was well over a year ago. It's been about 2 years, I think. So that's the fight results for this weekend. We're going to go over down to, of course, the news and announcements. Went over some of these last week on my Friday stream, which was impromptu. So we'll go over this one now. At 115, Cynthia Calvillo versus Courtney Casey is set for UFC 233 on January 26th. Another strawweight match, Alexa Grasso versus Marina Rodriguez, was added to a UFC event in Fortaleza, Brazil, scheduled for February 2nd. I didn't see what the event name is or anything. At 125, Mara Romero Barella versus Taylor Santos added to that same event in Fortaleza, Brazil on February 2nd. And then finally at 115, we talked about this one last week as well. Tisha Torres versus Wei Lijian, set for UFC 235 in March. I'd have to say, out of that list, that's the fight I'm most looking forward to. Second one being Alexa Grasso versus Marina Rodriguez. Mostly I want to see, they're both, Grasso's coming off a loss, and Marina Rodriguez is coming off of a draw against Randall Marcos. So, be good to see, who gets back on a winning track in that one. Plus, I like the style matchup with that one, the boxer versus the Muay Thai fighter. Of course, Torres versus Zahn goes without saying. Number one fight out of those four that I want to see, because the violence for that should just be amazing. So moving along to this weekend, we'll go down all of them, and then we'll start breaking down some of these fights one by one. Not all of them, but a few of them. So Friday the 7th at One Championship at 1:15, we have Jian Razwan versus Jenny Huang. Razwan's 3-0 versus Huang 5-3. Also at 1:15, we have the return of Vivi May Yamaguchi, 17-11-1 versus Jo Marie Torres, who is 4-1. That's typical Asian record fight. And then at 1:35, we have Savannah Nari M, who's 2-0, versus Irina Kisilova, who is 10-3. Another typically Asian matchup. Also on Friday, LFA 56. At 1:15, we have Rachel Lippert, 3-2, versus Amanda Byers, who is 3-1. And then also at 1:15, we have Maria Paula Buzaglo, 1-0, versus Karina Herrera, who is 3-4-1. And then TKO 45 at 130 pounds, we have Corinne Laframboise, who is 2-2, versus Morgane Ribot, who is 4-0. Out of those 6 fights, I'd probably have to say I'm most looking forward to May Yamaguchi. She's never really in a boring fight. And then I want to see if Jenny Huang can get back into the win column versus Jian Razwan. Jenny Huang went like 5-0, and then she went up against Angela Lee, and she's dropped her last 3. So I'd like to see her get back in the win column. I think she's pretty good on the ground, but man, her striking is just beyond basic. It's not very good at all. So then on Saturday, we have Kaiser 2 in South Korea. At 1:05, we have Shiyu Park, who is 1-2, versus Jay Choi, who is 2-1. EFC 76, we have a strawweight championship. Kiara Penko, 4-0, versus Karolina Wojcik, who's 3-1. I think I mentioned last week that that was supposed to be Cheyenne Vlismas challenging Penko for the title, but Vlismas came down with a pretty nasty, some kind of virus, some kind of sickness, so she had to withdraw from that fight. And then finally at UFC 231, we have 125. We have Jessica Ai, 13-6, versus Katlyn Chookagian, 11-1. 115, we have Claudia Gadelha, 16-3, versus Nina Ansarov, 9-5. And finally, we have the co-main event, 125-pound flyweight title fight between Joanna Jędrzejczyk, 15-2, taking on Valentina Shevchenko, who is 15-3. That title is currently vacant. So that breaks down, that's all the fights for this coming weekend. Not a whole lot going on this weekend, so we'll go ahead and break some of them down. First one I want to talk about should be coming up here on the screen. Yep, there it is. Shiyu Park should be on the left with the Korean flag behind her versus Jay Che at Kaiser 2. They're both at 105 pounds. Park is 1-2. Che is 2-1. Why am I talking about a fight between two people with 6 fights between them? One main reason. Park is the main training partner and sparring partner for Invicta, Road Atomweight champ and UFC veteran Seo Hee-ham. So there's that interesting factor. She's trying to, get back into on the plus side of the win column. And Che, I've seen all of her fights so far. She had 2 in TFC Dream events, and her last one was in Gratchen against Sayako Fujita. So that's more of a personal interest for me. If hopefully the fight will come up online somewhere. If not, oh well, I'll miss out on it. Not a big deal. Moving along. Take that one down. We have the strawweight championship between Kiara Penko defending against Karolina Vojcik at EFC 76. This should be an interesting fight. I was watching one of Penko's fights earlier. Both of these girls come out very aggressive. Vojcik is a Muay Thai stylist. Penko seemed to be more of a boxer, kickboxer style on the feet. One thing that will be interesting to see, Penko used up a lot of energy in her last fight in the first round and still came away with the win, but against Karolina Vojcik, she's going to need all of that energy because Vojcik does not slow down from what I can remember of her fight versus Cheyenne Vlismas. So that'll be an interesting fight to see. I don't know enough about either of them to say who will win. But so we'll go with the Italian girl, Kiara Penko, to defend. So moving along to some of the more important fights. First up, UFC, 231. So we have Katlyn Chookagian versus Jessica Eye in the flyweight division. Katlyn Chookagian is currently, I believe she's on like a 2 or 3 fight win streak right now. Jessica Eye is on a 2-fight win streak in very, mostly lackluster fights. Chookagian is definitely, I would say, is the superior striker. She has more of an arsenal to her. Doesn't get taken down too often. Good takedown defense. Footwork's not the greatest. She's very, I would say she's very Holly Holm-esque in her striking, in that she's a volume striker who makes noise every time she throws something. Jessica Eye is more of the well-rounded type, decent in every area, but a master in none. I'm going to have to go with Chookagian on this. I see her winning by decision. I don't see her finishing Eye. And I don't see Eye finishing Chookagian either. Chookagian's a big step up for her as far as her competition in the flyweight flyweight division goes. So I'm going to go Chookagian by decision on this. It's not going to be the most exciting fight. Jessica Eye fights are rarely exciting. Katlyn's fights are not the most exciting either because she's a pure volume striker, but she doesn't mix it up. Like, say, compared to in the strawweight division, you have volume striker Yan Xiaonan, who is constantly mixing stuff up. She's throwing kicks, she's throwing punches, she's throwing spinning back fists, throwing elbows, often in multiple combinations. Chookagian is like a very, very basic kickboxer in that she'll throw, 1-2, a 1-2 and a kick, 1-2-3. It's very predictable fighting. But, so, yeah, Katlyn Chookagian by unanimous decision in this. And something that's probably not going to be the most entertaining fight, but that's okay because the winner of this fight most likely going to get a title shot, especially if Chukagian wins it, because right now she's sitting at a higher win streak than either fighter in the title fight that same night. Both of those girls are coming in off one win apiece right now. So Chukagian is one of the winningest fighters currently in the flyweight division since it started. Moving along, next fight up, Claudia Gadelha versus Nina Ansaroff at 115. So you have Gadelha, who is a very good, excellent, well-rounded fighter. Striking's good, but not great. It's not phenomenal. Good wrestling, good takedowns, decent takedowns. Very smothering style on the ground. She's not really known for being a finisher. Nina Ansaroff is another well-rounded fighter, but you know, what is she really known for? It's hard to say. You know, Ansaroff's getting a big step up in this one, guys. I mean, big step up right now. Huge step up. I mean, she's barely in the top 15, I believe, last time I checked the rankings, and now she's facing the number 3, 4 fighter in no, number 3, I believe. She's number 3 in strawweight right now in Gadelha. So not sure if this is meant to be like a tune-up fight for Gadelha, who was coming off that beatdown versus Andrade, and then, you know, squeaked by Carla Esparza, or if this is just like a big step up for Ansaroff, like as a favor to her, you know, her girlfriend's the bantamweight champ. I don't really know with this one that much. It's hard to say. But I mean, if Ansaroff wins, man, it's going to be a big upset, and Gadelha's stock is going to just plummet. I mean, because Ansaroff, you know, you know, it's hard to really think of anything that she like really excels at. I mean, she's a gritty fighter, well-rounded, like I said, but nothing that she does like really stands out to me. Whereas Gadelha is, you know, really known for her grappling, which is probably also Ansaroff's best trait as well. I'm going to have to go with Gadelha by decision on this one. I think this will be a bit of a grinder. Not in the same way that Chukagian versus I was a big grinding fight, but I just think it'll be a tough fight. It'll be a close fight. You know, Ansaroff's not going to be an easy win for Gadelha, but I definitely pick Gadelha to come away with the win. So, moving along to the co-main event. We have the former strawweight champion, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, coming in. She's actually still currently the number 1 contender in strawweight. Coming up against the number 1 flyweight, Valentina Shevchenko, who, you know, formerly challenged Amanda Nunes for a title at bantamweight. This will be the first flyweight fight for Jędrzejczyk since coming into the UFC, where she moved down to strawweight. Shevchenko, it'll be her second fight at flyweight. She got you know, it was a gimme. Not going to beat around the bush, guys. When she faced Priscilla Cachoeira, that was a straight up gimme fight. And then, of course, she was supposed to face Nico Montano. Montano couldn't make weight. She had to bow out of the fight completely. It was stripped of the title. Not really going to comment on that. I feel like everything that could be said about that has been said already. So, let's really break this fight. Both come from Muay Thai backgrounds. Both have faced each other 3 times in the, IMFA, Amateur Muay Thai championships. Shevchenko came away the winner 3 times. All 3 times. I think the last time might have been a split decision. I can't recall exactly. As far as MMA goes, Joanna came to the UFC a lot earlier than Shevchenko, and aside from her first fight, which was against, I can't even remember her name, it was a Brazilian girl. Aside from that first fight, Joanna has faced nothing but the best the strawweight division has to offer. She beat Gadelia by split decision in her second fight. Third fight, beat the crap out of Carla Esparza, took Esparza's title and was supposed to be her first defense. She just demolished Esparza. And then from there, she went on to beat, Jessica Penny, Gadelia again, Andrade, Valerie Letourneau. Only strawweight to beat Jessica Andrade since she's moved down there, by the way. Valerie Letourneau. She did lose twice to Rose. One of them was the TKO loss, and the other was a decision. And then she came back from those with the win over Tisha Torres. And she took it to Tisha. Tisha Torres didn't even have a dog in that fight. Shevchenko, her early career was against just one and dones. Mostly she was still going back and forth between Muay Thai and MMA at the time. She finally committed to MMA. Since then, since she joined the UFC, she's beaten Sarah Kaufman. What's her name? Juliana Pena, a few others. Her only losses in the UFC are to Amanda Nunes in very close fights. Of course, those were all at bantamweight. Now she's moved down to flyweight. So a couple of factors you have to look at. One is the mental factor. Shevchenko's coming in there. Shevchenko is very confident, I'll say it, she's cocky. She's cocky as hell. She's already saying, I'm in Joanna's head. Those 3 losses in Muay Thai are affecting her. I guess she's a mind reader. So Shevchenko's definitely coming in confident. Joanna is coming in hungry, though. She wants to prove bad that the move to flyweight is going to benefit her. She's there to finally, get that winner of Shevchenko. So it really boils down to who, how will their heads be? Will Valentina's head be too big for her britches? Or will she'll be able to keep confident enough that she'll be able to win? Whereas with Joanna Jędrzejczyk, it's going to be a matter of, where is her head at right now? She lost twice to Rose, once last year, a little over a year ago, and then again earlier this year. She got the win against Torres, but she's going to be up against a much superior striker in Shevchenko. So how is her mental faculties going to be coming into this fight? Another factor is going to be the stylistic matchup. Both of these fighters are very excellent counter fighters. So who's going to be the aggressor in this? Both prefer to counter. So who's going to be the aggressor? I would have to say that Shevchenko is the more effective counter fighter, whereas Jędrzejczyk, I think, definitely does better, a little bit better on the offensive than Shevchenko does. But then she's going to be played right into Shevchenko's game. So who's going to have the better mastery on the feet? Also, Joanna's more of a volume striker, where Shevchenko picks and chooses her shots. Um, how will Joanna deal with, will Joanna's volume, should say, be enough to effectively counter um, Shevchenko's, will it score higher than Shevchenko's counter strikes? Will Joanna's volume beat Shevchenko's more conservative but perfectly timed counters? And then the last factor you'd have to look at, the ground game. You want to say that Shevchenko is the superior fighter. She was a black belt in judo. She was a master of sport in judo. But when was the last time Joanna was taken down in a fight? Effectively taken down. She got taken down by Andrade, but those weren't effective. Andrade didn't even keep her down there for like a second. Her takedowns were so wild, and Joanna knew exactly what to do that she was able to get right back up immediately. So the last time that Joanna was really effectively taken down in a fight was against Gadelia, where Joanna was able to get back to her feet every time. So if Shevchenko decides to take this to the ground, will she be able to get it there? 2, will she be able to keep it there? I have a hard time believing. Can she get it to the ground? Definitely. I have no problem believing that. But can she keep Joanna down? Joanna is like the female version of Chuck Liddell in that you can take her down, 50 times, but you might not be able to keep her down. So you have to really look at all 3 of those factors. And then the final factor is going to be weight and how it affects each fighter. So Shevchenko is fighting in her more natural weight class of 125. Everyone agrees with this. She weighed in light every time for 135. Barely cut any weight, if she cut any weight at all. Whereas Jędrzejczyk when she came in, she chose to go down to straw weight when she came into the UFC. And, she looked like crap. She looked like death every time she weighed in. Especially the last few times. And a lot of people were saying, well, that's part of that is why she was getting, wobbled or dropped. That's why a big reason why she might have lost to Rose was the fact that she was depleting herself too much. That it was weakening her constitution, and that, over time, it just got to her. So how will Joanna handle her first fight at flyweight? Back at flyweight in the UFC, fighting against someone who's been fighting against, bigger competition at bantamweight. So that's probably might be alone be the biggest factor going into this fight. That and the mental game. I'd say those 2 are just very important. They're like the X factor, as it were. We know how they look ground fighting. We know how they strike. But what are the X factors going into this game? Well, I'd have to say, this fight this weekend. Well, I'd have to say, the mental state of these fighters and the weight factor. If it were me and I were the matchmaker, I would have had Joanna fight one fight at flyweight before this fight. I wasn't a big fan of when this fight was first made. I was like, well, my first reaction was like, well, that's about a year late. With Shevchenko coming in at 1-2, 1-1 in her last 2. Jędrzejczyk coming in at 1-2 in her last 3. She dropped 2 in a row and then had one comeback fight win. Look, this is still going to be a good fight. Still going to be a very interesting fight. I just felt that when they made this fight, it had lost a lot of the luster that it had the year before it was made. Before Joanna lost to Rose twice. And Shevchenko had coming off that close loss to Nunez. So, and then I wasn't a big fan of this fight because, Joanna hasn't fought in flyweight in the UFC at all. She's former champion in strawweight, but that's a weight class below. Whereas Shevchenko only has 1 win in the flyweight division. I mean, granted, yeah, she had wins at the bigger division at bantamweight, but so do some of the other flyweights. And she only has one win, whereas you have like Katlyn Chukagian and Jessica Ai in the other fight, and a couple other fighters who have 2 or 3 wins in the division. So, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of this fight being for the title, with them only coming off of 1 win apiece, with Joanna's win coming in a lower division. But, I mean, overall, it might be the biggest fight they could make at flyweight right now with these two, with the history, which they've been promoting, and the fact that, you know, both of these two are big egomaniac fighters, very cocky, very egomaniacal, confident, whatever you want to call them. So, and plus with Joanna being a former champion at strawweight, a former long defending champion at strawweight, and Valentina being a former bantamweight challenger. So this probably was the best fight they could make at for the flyweight title right now. So anyway, guys, that's all I've got really for this week. I'm sorry that my original link messed up. I'm using a new open broadcasting studio format, and for some reason it did not allow me to use the original link I had created on YouTube. We'll have to see how that goes. Hopefully it'll fix it. Hopefully I'll be able to figure it out for next week. So next week, I don't have the date set for this stream. Tentatively scheduled for next Tuesday at the usual time, 9:30. If work interferes, we'll probably move it to Wednesday. Saturday morning, live stream, Fight Companion, Road FC 51 XX Atomweight Championship. And then, of course, that night, I will be at Invicta FC live in Kansas City. And then, before we go, you know, let's look at the rest of the schedule. So, we have this weekend, we've got the one event, there's LFA in there too, there's Combate, then we have the UFC, big UFC event, and then of course, this weekend right here might be the single biggest weekend in women's mixed martial arts history. You have Bellator has a fight on Friday night, and then of course Saturday, look at this, Road FC 51, all females, Invicta, all females. UFC on Fox has one fight, and Bellator has their flyweight championship between Ilima McFarlane and Valerie Letourneau. Huge month for women's fighting. Huge month. And an even bigger month for the atomweight fighters. We just had an atomweight championship for Jules. Road FC and Invicta are having their atomweight championships on the same day. So huge fight for atomweights. And guys, I'm going to ask a big favor. Anytime you go on social media and you're talking about any of those atomweight fights, please use, it should be down in this corner here, you know, the hashtag UFC Atomweight. And also tag, you know, the UFC, Dana White, Sean Shelby, McMahon. Please help get the word out about these exciting atomweights to the UFC. Let them know that we are interested in that. But we don't want an Ultimate Fighter season. We really don't. Just no. Please no Ultimate Fighter for that. Bring them in, you know, a few fighters at a time. Have them fight it out, and then figure out a title fight then. But no Ultimate Fighter. But please let's help get these atomweights into the UFC, guys. Until next week, I'll make some I'll try to get some fight reviews out in the meantime. Guys, thanks for watching, you know, the WMMA Scene Report, episode number 10. As always, the thumbs ups are appreciated. And if you're watching and you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to WMMA Scene Now, the best, fastest growing women's mixed martial arts platform on YouTube that covers women's mixed martial arts and only women's mixed martial arts. Guys, have a good night.